In 2015, here's some specific arrests, and this is in just the southeast Michigan area, so that's the Wayne, Oakland, and Macomb County areas. They had 261 arrests, 81 human trafficking juvenile recoveries during that period in just those 3 counties. Federal cases they initiated were 51, and state cases initiated were 53. So I kind of like to put things into perspective as far as how many juveniles do you believe that are involved in human sex trafficking at any given point? Let's just throw it out there. How many people do you think, let's say in the state of Michigan, is a good number? Anybody? 2,400? No, that's probably a little high. 1,000. The best estimate that I can go at is, one of the things that I like to do is, first of all, look at what the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children put out there. And they say that approximately 10% of active individuals involved in the sex trade industry are under the age of 18. So bearing that in mind, in the state of Michigan, there's approximately, I would say, anywhere between 600 to 700 advertisements for prostitution online. So that's the major, like I said, about 80% that's out there. So with that being said, we'll probably at about 800 to 900 with regard to active prostitution situations that are going on. So if we were to take that, we'd know that probably anywhere between 70 to 80 kids in the state of Michigan are probably being exploited right now as we speak, to kind of put things into perspective. And further that, every year we do what's called the Operation Cross Country. That's where for 1 week straight we do a series of undercover stings, which you'll see some of them on here a little bit later. And I guarantee it's probably going to it's going to pose some questions in your mind, like, why are you doing this, or why is this happening? And I encourage you, ask your questions. I think it's a good dialogue to have. But during that week period of time, just to kind of give you a snapshot, in just our specific area, we recovered 19 kids in just 1 week that were involved in prostitution. And were victims of sex trafficking. We arrested 12 pimps and had 35 arrests overall. Ma'am. How many Johns were convicted? So from the federal side of the house, we do not go after Johns. Our operations are what we call an in-call and out-call. So we don't set up a date where we have what's called a decoy, because that's how you get the Johns to come in. So an officer would act as though she was a prostitute or a service provider, and Johns would come to them. So we don't do that. We go after the enterprises. We don't go after the Johns from the federal side of the house, because that's where our focus is.
Now, for this operation, we did partner with the Detroit Police Department, Vice, and we did do John stings with them. So that's why you see up there we've got 35 Johns arrested. They were all convicted from that. But as a task force, that's not our role. But we do partner with other law enforcement groups. And Wayne County Vice was out as well.
Yeah.
Can you explain what the Johns are? I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, Johns are customers. So they're the buyers of the...
Or perverts and what other, a lot of names you can call them.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought.
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of sentences do they receive typically?
For Johns?
Yeah.
Right now, it's only a 93-day misdemeanor in the state of Michigan. So it's a misdemeanor. But you will hear from Kelly Carter and John Lizette from the Attorney General's office. I'm sure you can pose some good questions to them to take back to their boss.
Sorry,
yes,
John.
I threw you under the bus, John.
It does not, depending on the age, and obviously there's intent at that point as well with regard to...
And there's some new laws that they will talk about where, depending on the age of the victim, there has been some enhancements in Michigan state law where they will go on the sex offender list if it is a minor of sex trafficking that John sees. Yes, ma'am.
What happens to the pimps? Are they convicted?
Yes, that's where we go after the pimps and the criminal enterprise, the drivers and all that. And you'll see some slides here where they're getting sentenced to some, some very serious time. Like even at the state level and federal level, 35 to 60 years, one pimp another pimp 40 years, another pimp 35 years. So they are getting time. So I think the whole purpose of this is to have everyone attack it. If we can have, law enforcement go after the Johns, we'll do the criminal enterprise because they're traveling outside the state in different places. So it really takes everyone working together to work these cases properly to, bring down the demand.
Part of that, we have a partnership now that's through the Salvation Army and then furtherance with approximately 18 different service providers, which help meet the needs of the victims as we encounter them. So it just really, there's no specific way or path with each individual that we encounter because their circumstances are so different. So ultimately, we have a team of individuals that's usually anywhere between 4 to 8 people that are right there in our command center and meeting the needs of that specific person right there as they're encountered. So that's this, and that's what I want to emphasize as well, is with our particular group, we've shifted things, if you will, from being an investigative entity that looks at things from a prosecutive, because that is a focus from a law enforcement perspective, to really being victim-centric and meeting the needs of the people that we encounter and making sure that everything is taken care of from their perspective. Sir?
Do you have any idea why this is a growing problem in Michigan?
Why it's a growing problem in Michigan? So first of all, with that question, let me backtrack. So obviously, you're deducing that it's a problem that has been trending up. And I think the reporting has been trending up over the last several years. And I think if you look at a lot of the cases that are initiated, one can probably determine that it has been trending up as well. However, I'm not really of the opinion it is. I don't think that the marketplace has necessarily changed significantly in the 10 years that I've been working it. I think what the differentiation is that there's a heightened awareness, first of all, from the public, from an identification standpoint, so that they're able to see it, report it, and understand it. So I think that is kind of one of the first pillars. I don't know if you want to add anything else to that.
No, I would agree with that. It's just that people are recognizing the signs more. Police are getting involved more and arresting it, so you're just seeing it more.
And so I think even from law enforcement, I think there's a lot of times where a young lady may have been involved in a situation where they wouldn't have dug deeper. And so I think the training that they're receiving as well is bringing to light a lot of the additional cases that are being initiated as well.
And then as a task force, what we also do, what makes us unique is we go after the pimps, the exploiters and everything, but we go after the biggest charge, either it be at state or federal. And sometimes we'll do dual cases. So say that pimp is having sex with that 14-year-old girl, we'll charge them federally with the trafficking of that child, and then we'll charge them with the rape of that child at the state level, so they do more time in jail.